Hey there everybody, Stuart Knight here with a video that I hope will help you boycott what you thought. Now, this week's video, as you can see, is from the floor. All right, yes, I'm not drunk, I can guarantee you that. I just so happen to have a cast. I mean, you may have noticed that. It's the big red-orange kind of thing on my leg, so I have no other choice. I had ankle surgery, and for that reason, I am not gonna be standing up for this video. So, I want to talk about rules this week, okay? Now, this little contraption here is not what I get around with because I have a cast. This is actually my son's little play toy thing. It's his walker. He gets inside of it. He walks around. It has wheels on the bottom. Now, this thing, some of you might think to yourselves, oh my God, he's got something illegal in his hands. I'm practically carrying a bag of cocaine as we speak, just by holding this. Yes, this is illegal. All right, you're not allowed to put your child into one of these little contraptions because somewhere along the line, many years ago, some child had a big accident, and now the government has come along and said, nope, no one is allowed to use these things. It's a rule. Although my son loves it, okay? And guess what? I'm not really big on my son hurting himself. That's why I put up a thing called a gate. Oh my God, new invention, at the top of the stairs. And what it does is make sure that my child just bounces into something over and over again, and then he doesn't go down the stairs. It's common sense. Do we need to create a law around this, or do we just need to get some common sense? So, speaking of common sense, to me, it's amazing how many people live by so many rules that really are just rules that have been created by other people because they just didn't know what the outcome might be and they were afraid of the worst case scenario, so they created rules around it. Or people who just don't understand life, and for them to try to make sense of it, what they do is they create rules that make them have a better understanding of the world that they live in. And they pass these rules on to other people because they need you to adhere to the same rules, because if you don't, then that makes them look bad, or that makes them question why they're the ones adhering to the rules. And it's important, if you're really going to be happy in life, to ask yourself what kinds of rules you're abiding by and whether or not they're really serving you. I mean, take any example, and take the corporate world, right? There's so many rules that I see people living by when I'm speaking to my corporate clients that are only inhibiting their success and their level of joy. It's not allowing them to be as good as they possibly can be. You know, an advertiser might say, oh, we can't say that on television. There's a rule that says you can't talk that way, or you can't be provocative that way, so they don't go down that path. And then some other advertiser comes along and does it, and they're the ones who win all the awards. Or someone who says, oh, you know what, we can't restructure the office in this really crazy way, you know, that's just never been done before. And then so they don't do it. And then some other company comes along and says, what if we restructure the office in a way where everyone's, you know, able to talk to each other freely, or they don't have to come into work if they don't want to, or whatever new rule you live by. And those are the companies that end up once again winning the awards because they're doing things in a new way. There's always a new way to approach life. Don't ever think that we as the human species have figured it out. We haven't. We have so much further to go. So any rules that we're all living by today will eventually be broken. I mean, there's certain rules that are great rules. I mean, drinking and driving, that is a rule that we need to have in our society. I'm not suggesting every rule needs to be broken. I hope that in 100 or 1,000 years from now, there is no such thing as drinking and driving, or that's also a rule that you can't break. But I'm talking about the categories of life like family and friendship and career and your love life. There's so many rules that you're living by that are not serving you. People's love life is a perfect example of this. People who are in relationships or who soon want to be in relationships, they can't believe how much they sabotage their own relationship because they have so many rules. Oh, rule number one, we're not allowed to talk about our sexual desires that we have for people outside of this relationship. I'm not saying you have to act upon it, but people say we're not even allowed to talk about it. Or rule number two, you're not allowed to speak about certain things with friends and family. You're only allowed to speak about those things with me. I mean, what are we talking about here? Why are we doing this? Why are we putting such shackles on our partners and saying that they have to be in the prison that we say that we want them to be in? That will never lead you to a great relationship. You need to let your partner be free. You need to let them speak about what they want to speak about, and you need to let them really follow their heart, because that's the person who comes back to you every single night. And that's the person you want to be with, their best self, not the self where you put rules onto them. Or friendships. I mean, so many people think, well, I've been friends with this person for, you know, so many years, ever since I was in high school with them, so I have to be friends with them today. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can make up the rules as you go along. If some of your friends are not serving you anymore, they're not making you laugh anymore, they're not supporting your dreams, they don't ask you any questions about your life, it's okay to explore new friendships. You're not a bad person. And with your family, okay, do the best you can for your family, but there's no rule that says you are put on this planet to serve your family. And I meet people all the time who live by that rule, and they end up sacrificing their own happiness in the process. So I could go on and on and on. What are your rules around travel? Some people think, oh, you know what, I can't go to dangerous countries because it's automatically guaranteed that I'm going to hurt myself. That's the rule they live by. Well, there's millions of people every year who go to those countries that you think are you're too afraid to go to, and they have a way better time than what most people experience on their safer vacations. So just ask yourself, what rules do you live by? And when will it be that other people will just no longer live by those rules, where they won't even be a thing anymore? Just think about that. What rules do you live by? How are you inhibiting your own success? Are you the kind of person that thinks that, oh, well, yes, you know what, it's a very good thing that the government has created a rule that says that children can't walk around in little walkers, they could hurt themselves? Are you that anal? I mean, do you go through life actually believing that just because something is a rule that it makes it right? It's not. It's something that you invent. It's something that you create. There's a subset of rules that we all have to abide by. Yes, you shouldn't kill someone. Yes, you shouldn't drink and drive. Yes, you shouldn't steal. We know those rules. But most of the other stuff, they're just guidelines. And so ask yourself, what are the rules that you live by? Do you need to retire at a certain age? Do you have a rule around that? Do you have a rule about how much money you have to have in the bank in order to be happy? Do you have a rule of what good sex looks like? Do you have a rule of what an intimate relationship is supposed to look like? Do you have a rule of what success looks like? Well, if you have these rules, challenge them. And ask yourself if you could create a new rule for yourself that would make you happier. All right? So, my rule for you is to break your rules, because I can tell you, you wouldn't be watching this video right now if I followed the rules the whole way. All right? Lots of love. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks for checking out that video, my friend. I've got one more over here for you. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And next to that, you can also subscribe to my weekly newsletter. If you do, you get a free gift. How cool is that? And last but not least, please make sure that you share this with other people. Together, we can change the world. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.